Morning, everybody. I'm back. I've got a bit of a blocked nose this morning and an itchy throat, so I may sound a little bit scratchy at times, but let's dive right into it. Once again, we're back with Meghan and Harry and all their shenanigans. The first thing I want to talk about is the last affidavit that Harry put out concerning the paparazzi, the drone shots, the invasion of their privacy, and in particular, that last photograph that appeared in a German magazine, whereby Harry alleged that they were photographed from 20 feet up in the air by a drone, by long lenses, etc., etc. Now, I've already done 2 videos on that, so we are not going to be talking about that in particular again. Something I have noticed though, and which I find very suspicious, is that his affidavit was dated the 23rd of July. And as you guys may know from Yankee Wally and others by now, they apparently moved out of Tyler Perry's mansion early in July. And having done a bit of a deep dive, it appears that they were already moving or already out of Tyler Perry's mansion by the 9th of July. Now, why on earth would Harry go and give an affidavit or even open a case 2 weeks after they have moved out of that particular mansion? Is Harry using these fake invasions as an excuse for them to have moved out of Tyler Perry's mansion? I somehow think so. And I do think by now that this affidavit is just bogus. Why he would go to all the trouble of going into litigation, of giving an affidavit, of consulting an attorney on an absolutely fake scenario, I wouldn't know. But I did get a very good suggestion, and that is that he is using this as a sort of a warning to people in the future, warning them as to what could possibly happen if they invade their privacy once again. Okay, so now we've heard that they have bought their own mansion. And let's have a quick look at that as well. And I'm reading from the Mail Online. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's cut-price palace. Pair got 9.5 million mortgage to buy 14.7 million Santa Barbara home known as the Chateau, with library, arcade and stripper pole from Russian tycoon Sergei Grishin, who wanted 34 million for it a few years ago. The Sussexes bought the 1,458 square foot home for 14,850,000 in the upscale Montecito neighborhood. The home features 9 bedrooms and 16 bathrooms, along with a games room, gym, tennis court, and tea house. The mansion, known as the Chateau, was built in 2003 and previously sold for 25 million in 2009. Okay, I'm not going to read the whole article. You can go to the Mail Online and read it for yourselves. What I am going to do is I'm going to, first of all, assume that this is true. And I've already had an argument on Instagram about the Sussexes being able or not being able to have bought this home. I don't believe that their financial standing would in any way prevent them from buying such a home. In particular, not in particular because obviously Daddy Charlie is still there in the background funding the shenanigans. Now, some articles will have us believe that Charles helped them buy this mansion, and other articles will have us believe that they bought it themselves. And then I even heard on Yankee Wally this morning that the home was registered in Meghan's LLC. Now, that makes me think of another possibility, but I will get to that in a minute. I looked into Harry's financial or his monetary worth a little, and it's been widely speculated as to how much he's worth and how much of his money is actually tied up in some kind of trust. Most people, and I would guess it's the Sugars, allege that Harry doesn't have a lot of money. However, I looked into it and found that Harry inherited 40 million from his mother's estate and 25 million from his great-grandmother, the Queen Mother's estate. So that brings us to approximately 65 million. And then he also received a fairly large pension payout when he left the military. Now, to us commoners, it may look as if Harry and Meghan had been spending mega bucks. And they have. They have been spending like two crazies. However, how much of what they have been spending were actually their own money? I would guess very little. Because remember, they also received a funding from the monarchy when they were still working royals. Added to that, their trips on behalf of the monarchy were all sponsored. Flights paid for, clothing paid for, accommodation paid for. So only the money they spent in their private capacity, be that for gifts for one another or additional clothing to wear in private, etc., would come out of their own pocket. Everything else that we saw in the media either came from the monarchy, from the Commonwealth. It was basically running capital provided to them to do their jobs. And if we look at their private lives, we haven't seen them doing much in their private lives. So yeah, I would guess that during their time as royals, as a pair, they actually spent very little of their own money. Added to that, the 3 million from Disney. Added to that, the 5 million that people alleged Meghan was worth when she came into the royal family. I would guess they have ample money to buy a mansion like this on their own. Although I do not believe that they did buy it on their own. I do believe that Daddy Charlie once again gave them some money. Money that left Britain, money that Charles is probably writing off as an expense, money that he should have paid tax on, money that could have been better spent in the Duchy of Cornwall during these difficult times. But that is just what I believe, and it is just my opinion. Where the $5.2 million came from that they gave as down payment, allegedly, on this mansion, I wouldn't know. I guess from Daddy Charlie, but they are quite capable and able to have paid it themselves. Not that I think they would have. Anyway, so let's move on. What I did for you guys was I went on XE currency converter last night and I converted the price they paid for the home to British pounds, to Canadian dollars, and to South African rand, because during my travels to these countries I have found it very difficult to actually comprehend what the money is really worth when spending in these other countries. Yeah, and then I always traveled on a budget, so I had to, although I know it's not the right thing to do, I had to, in my head, convert every time I spend a pound or a dollar. So to make it easy for you guys, I've converted it for you, and you can enlarge your screen and have a look wherever you live. Right, so let's move on and dissect this breakdown of costs. Why they're saying that they've spent $14.7 million, I don't know, because according to the newspaper article they spent 14.8. But that's besides the point. What's 100,000 between friends? Looking at their mortgage, that is a 9.5 million mortgage that they took out on this home, and then we were told that they put a $5.2 down payment, $5.2 million down payment. Right, the next argument I came across is how they were going to pay for the upkeep of this property, the maintenance, and obviously all the other things that come along with it. So I looked at that, and I must mention that the figures given here are very conservative, and more leaning towards giving them some credit than anything else. Alright, mortgage repayment, annual mortgage repayment of $480,000, which in South African rand would be over 8 million rand, but that's just besides the point. Their property tax would amount to approximately $68,000 per year, once again over $1 million in South African rand. Staff, a gardener, a housekeeper, perhaps a cook, who knows, but that is excluding their security, $300,000, which is in excess of 5 million South African rands, just by the by. Utilities, very conservative, $24,000 per year, and security $3.3 million per year. A total upkeep and maintenance of $4.1 million, £3.1 million, 5.5 Canadian dollar, and 72 million rand. Okay, as if that is not bad enough, where will that money come from? It is alleged that Charles is still paying their annual maintenance from the Duchy of Cornwall or from his personal wealth, and that amounts to 2 million. Will that be enough, or will they be able to earn the balance? I guess they will be. We saw Harry appearing in a Netflix documentary. Meghan will soon again be hosting some talk, can't remember what it's called, the 19th summit or something like that, and I'm sure she's getting paid for all of it. Then they just had the book coming out, and obviously they will have to share the profits with Omid Scooby, but I'm sure they'll be getting a kickback from that. I also believe that they're doing a lot of merching in the book, and there will obviously be kickbacks from that. We will soon also see Megan again selling some photographs, making even more Zoom calls, and appearing all over the show, as is her nature. And like her mommy told her, you do not give the milk away for free, so Megan will make sure that she gets paid for each and every appearance. So I guess for them it will not be difficult to come up with the balance, regardless of how much they are already worth. Okay, so that much for the finances. Let's talk about this mansion that they allegedly bought. Firstly, the place was fairly easy to find, and although I saw the address on Instagram this morning and on Yankee Wally, I had already found the place last night just by going onto Sotheby's and comparing a photograph that was in the Daily Mail to photographs on Sotheby's website, where incidentally the address was clearly displayed. Then I went on to Google Maps and I just entered the address, and I had a lovely bird's eye view of their new home, supposedly. Anyway, staying on the Sotheby's website, there are 50 photographs of this mansion on the website, and I went through them, and it's obviously quite luxurious, but not my taste. Whether it is worth that kind of money, I guess it is, because of its location. But the interior and the exterior is not to my taste, and somehow I feel they could have done better for that amount of money. Never mind. After I browsed the photographs, I went down to the details of the home, and it said that it had 13 full bathrooms, 6 partial bathrooms, 9 bedrooms. So I guess Megan will not have to go wee in the bushes ever again. However, why they need 9 bedrooms, I have no idea. It's just the 3 of them. And then there's also the tea room cottage or whatever, which apparently has 2 bedrooms, and which darling old Doria will be staying in. However, what I found very strange is that the mansion is still listed as being available. Now, if they had signed for this home on the 18th of June, as everyone wants us to believe, why has it not been marked sold on the various websites? I would love to have that question answered. Anyway, of course, this was again one of Megan's leaked secrets, and I quickly had a look as to whether there's an explanation why anyone would want to keep everything so secret. And there is only one explanation, as being a secretive person doesn't have much to do with your psychology or mental well-being. The only explanation I could find was that it says someone who is secretive, there is something about them that is wrong in some way, some deficiency or fault, something embarrassing that they should not want others to know. Well, we all know that there's a lot wrong with Meghan and Harry, one way or the other. We all know that not only with their mental health, but also with all the comings and goings and shenanigans and financial dealings and blah, 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 blah. There's something very wrong. However, that quickly brings me to another point, which I nearly forgot about. If this house was really, honestly and truly registered in Megan's LLC, don't you guys think that there's a distinct possibility that this home may be part of a huge settlement? Don't you think Daddy Charles helped to buy this house to keep Megan quiet? I'm just asking. I do predict, though, that give it another year after the sale of this house, and I think we'll hear about the impending divorce. And of course, Megan will claim the home as part of her settlement because she is, after all, a mommy. A mommy of what? We don't know. Whether she's a mommy of a plastic doll or a mommy of a baby born through a surrogate, we don't know. But she will say she's a mommy and therefore she needs the house. However, I just have this weird feeling that this house was actually bought for Megan, partially as part of a future settlement, and secondly as a bribe to keep her trap shut. Okay, people, now I've repeated myself enough and I've said enough and I am out of breath, so I'm going to say thank you so much for being here. See you next time. Bye.